In Venezuela, President Nicolas Maduro led the closing ceremony of EXPO METAL 2025 and launched the mining engine. Massive mobilizations take place throughout Argentina to commemorate the Day of Remembrance for Truth and Justice 49 years after the 1976 civil military coup. And in Saudi Arabia, Russia-US talks on a possible Ukrainian ceasefire deal conclude. The talks focused on the end of hostilities in the Black Sea and the resumption of the Grains Initiative. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the TeleSUR studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. In Venezuela, President Nicolas Maduro led the closing ceremony of EXPO METAL 2025 and launched the mining engine. During the event, the Venezuelan head of state praised the work carried out in this year's Expo and called to continue developing the industries to ensure quality production and economic revival. Also, different investment agreements were signed to strengthen national production. Mining rights were also granted, 12 for charcoal and 2 for gold, under the concept of sustainable ecological mining. President Maduro also took the opportunity to once again denounce the persecution and kidnapping of Venezuelan migrants and reiterated his commitment that all would once again return to their families in their homeland. And the United States government announced that it will impose a 25% tariff on trades from countries that buy oil or gas from Venezuela. The measure imposed by U.S. President Donald Trump will take effect on April 2nd of this year, which he referred to as Liberation Day in America. In the publication made on social media, Trump assured that the new coercive action responds to the alleged hostilities of South American country against Washington regarding its freedoms. The White House's demand is added to the conglomerate of criminal sanctions applied to the Venezuelan people, including the most recent elimination of the license granted to U.S. company Chevron to operate in Venezuela. And Venezuela rejected through a statement the new U.S. aggression of imposing a secondary tariff of 25% on any country that trades with Venezuela in oil and gas. The statement starts by saying the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela firmly and categorically rejects the new aggression announced by the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, who intends to impose a secondary tariff of 25% on any country that trades with Venezuela in oil and gas. Moreover, the text explains that for years, the fascist right wing, repudiated by the Venezuelan people, has been promoting economic sanctions with the hope of surrendering Venezuela. They have failed. They failed because Venezuela is a sovereign country, because its people have resisted with dignity, and because the world no longer submits to any economic dictatorship scheme. Today, that same failed strategy seeks to be reused with coercive measures that seek to undermine the development of our nation. It also emphasizes that with this new action, the United States flagrantly violates the rules of international trade. Venezuela will take all pertinent actions before international organizations to assert its rights and denounce this new violation of the World Economic Order. The statement concludes by stating that in spite of these aggressions, Venezuela remains firm and on its path, advancing on its path of growth and prosperity, together with a people that has resisted with dignity and has defeated every attempt at subjugation promoted by the usual extremists. The self-determination of our people, who have always grown in the face of difficulties and who proudly boast their condition of heir to the glories of the greatest liberator of America, Simón Bolívar. In El Salvador, several organizations demonstrated against the President Nayib Bukele's mining campaign, given the negative impact it has on the environment. Environmental organizations assure that the country is not prepared for a mining exploration experiment, recalling that in the past, mining projects have damaged rivers and harmed citizens' health. Activists point out that it has not been explained to the public what will be the supposed benefit for the communities, nor has it been projected how much it will cost El Salvador to recover its ecosystems if this practice is carried out. On the other hand, a lawyer of the Republic representing 11 citizens who in turn represent thousands of Salvadorans who are against mining projects presented before the Supreme Court of Justice an appeal to declare unconstitutional the general mining law approved last December 23, 2024.
Well, 11 citizens are filing a constitutional complaint on behalf of thousands of Salvadorans who have decided to say no to mining, by filing a constitutional complaint, which must be resolved by the Constitutional Chamber.
We call on the Supreme Court of Justice to declare unconstitutional this law, which was approved last year on December 23rd. There has been an organized work of a team of legal professionals.
Also in El Salvador, a group of lawyers filed an appeal on behalf of 238 kidnapped Venezuelan migrants held in concentration camps. The habeas corpus appeal was presented before the Supreme Court of Justice by a team of lawyers hired by the Venezuelan government and representing relatives of migrants requesting the release of the Venezuelan hostages. The lawyers also stressed that Venezuelans cannot be detained in Salvadoran jails because they have not committed any crime in that country. It should be noted that the Venezuelan migrants have been held hostage since March 15th in Salvadoran territory without any charges or crime. And now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We're going to be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. On March 24th, under the slogan Never Again, massive mobilizations take place throughout Argentina to commemorate the Day of Remembrance for Truth and Justice, 49 years after the 1976 civil military coup. Human rights organizations take to the streets of different parts of the country in which they will raise their voices for remembrance, truth, and justice for the 30,000 people who disappeared during the civil military dictatorship led by Jorge Rafael Videla. As every year, citizens also express their rejection to the systematic baby stealing plan carried out by the military and the establishment of the neoliberal model, which led to the closing of some 20,000 factories. During the day, human rights movements denounced the nihilist, repressive, and adjustment policies implemented by the government of Javier Milei. And the Ecuadorian presidential debate was held Sunday, March 23rd. In the event, the candidate for the Citizens' Revolution and the president nominee Daniel Noboa presented their proposals for the runoff elections next April 13th. Gabriela Mena with all the details.
In Ecuador,
the series of where polymedia outlets were broadcasting looked like this. There, they were to disseminate the presidential debate for the runoff elections. Hundreds of supporters of the nominee for the Citizens' Revolution, Luisa González, supported her by raising flags, wearing t-shirts with slogans, and blowing bugles. At all times, they shouted the candidate's name.
¡Luisa Presidenta! ¡Luisa Presidenta!
A las 20 horas del domingo 23 de marzo, inició el debate presidencial.
The presidential debate started at 8 p.m. on Sunday, March 23rd. Candidates have tackled 5 main concerning issues, including education, health, and security. The first to speak was candidate Luisa González, who reiterated President nominee Daniel Noboa all the time that he should stop lying to the country during his speeches.
Shall you continue lying to the Ecuadorian people? Do we Ecuadorians think that you still lack time for making things happen? When pigs fly.
González destacó las falencias del presidente candidato Daniel Noboa.
González highlighted the shortcomings of the president candidate Daniel Noboa. First, she mentioned that children, teenagers, and youngsters lack quotas to enter the public education system. Then, she questioned that if he had not fulfilled his campaign proposals in 15 months in office, who guaranteed that now he would comply with them? She further referred to the illegalities committed by Noboa, as he consented officers to break into the Mexican embassy to arrest the former Vice President Jorge Glass. Therefore, Ecuador had lost the support of the international community, she argued, granting to recover global trust in case she won elections.
¿Y saben cuál es la inversión extranjera en el Ecuador?
What's the current trend of foreign investment in Ecuador? It is the worst in the past 10 years. Nobody wants to come to a country where the president violates international treaties, laws, and the constitution itself. and this directly impacts employment so that you have caused economic domestic crises.
La candidata Luisa González
Candidate Luisa González stated that she will lower the VAT, attract energy investments, and that public banking will be for development, with low interest rate credits. In addition, she affirmed at all times that the Citizens Revolution Party won't make changes in dollarization. She said so in response to Noboa's proposal of changing the transactional currency, despite the fact that it is the Citizens Revolution who seeks to make the dollar official from the National Assembly.
Por su parte, el presidente de Ecuador y candidato a la reelección,
Ecuadorian President candidate Daniel Noboa reaffirmed to reinstate foreign military bases in the country to control drug trafficking.
Y también, siempre, pero siempre mantendremos el
In addition, we'll always maintain our respect for our armed forces, the national police and all state officials who today are working hard for this new Ecuador.
González cuestionó a Noboa sobre si
González questioned Noboa on whether he will collect the millionaire debt of $94 million in taxes from his family, and he answered no. However, this is not a new scenario because Noboa has awarded several state businesses to his family on his term.
Subsidios a Petro Noboa.
Subsidies to Petro Noboa, school breakfast to your aunt, ethanol to your aunt, power outages and job losses, economic impact on the Esmeralda's population and the environment, 200,000 layoffs, giving the Sasha oil field as a gift, which was prevented by citizens' actions, repelling public investments. You have brought about all these problems in just a single year.
El debate presidencial
The presidential debate had lasted around 2 hours, and prior to the closing, the president candidate was questioned about not entrusting the presidency to the vice president Veronica Abad during his electoral campaign as abided by law, an issue that Noboa evaded. According to the law, Noboa could not participate in the presidential debate, being both a president and a candidate. However, he did it.
Gabriela Mena, TeleSUR Ecuador.
In Saudi Arabia, negotiations for a possible agreement on the Ukrainian conflict between the United States and Russia concluded. During the meeting, which lasted more than 10 hours, both delegations agreed on the possible signing of a final declaration on the agenda discussed. In this regard, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov announced that no document is expected to be signed after the consultations held in Riyadh. On the day, Moscow mentioned that a possible future agreement between the parties on Ukraine could be extended. A Russian official, however, indicated in the early hours that the end of hostilities in the Black Sea and the resumption of the grain agreement was the focus of the talks. And the Russian government reaffirmed its position of upholding the agreement not to attack Ukrainian energy infrastructure. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov stated that the current order of Russian President Vladimir Putin not to attack Ukrainian energy infrastructure remains in force despite Kiev's attacks and violations of the agreement. In this regard, the Russian government denounced that the regime of Volodymyr Zelensky is carrying out attacks on infrastructure such as oil pumping stations in the region and other energy infrastructure. They also denounced that Kiev's actions maintain the tension in the region and prevent the achievement of a diplomatic understanding that would put an end to the conflict. And the Russian Defense Ministry denounced this Monday, March 24th, that Ukraine carried out several attacks against Russian energy targets during the last days. The ministry detailed that the most recent Ukrainian UAV attack targeted the oil pumping station in Krasnodar. The Defense Ministry warned that these actions by Kiev demonstrate its lack of commitment to a ceasefire agreement. We now have our second short break coming up. Before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at TeleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break. We'll be right back. The Palestinian Health Ministry registered over 61 deaths The Palestinian ministry has informed registered 61 deaths in the latest 24 hours as a result of the Israeli forces' endless shelling on the Gaza Strip. The health entity indicated that the resumption of the Zionist offensive had pushed the death toll up to over 46,000 and 110,000 others wounded in the enclave in 15 months. The Israeli regime had mounted raids and bombings on several areas of the south and north of the Gaza Strip at the crack of Monday, March 24th, including the Nasser Hospital located in southern Han Yunis. There, the medical staff denounced the Zionist aggression and demanded humanitarian intervention from the international community. Chinese maritime police expelled several Japanese fishing vessels from the waters of the disputed Diaoyu Islands. According to the Coast Guard of China, from March 21st to the 24th, at least 5 Japanese fishing boats illegally entered the Chinese territorial waters of the Diaoyu Islands. They further state that China calls on the Japanese side to immediately stop all illegal activities in this area, as the Diaoyu Islands and its adjacent islands are inherent territory of the country. And in South Korea, a series of forest fires caused the death of at least 4 firefighters and the evacuation of 600 people. The fire broke out last Friday in Sangcheon County, and in addition to the fatalities, left 6 people injured, burned 16 houses, 2 factories, and 9 warehouses and 2 temples. Over the weekend, the flames spread to neighboring Hadong County due to the strong dry winds in the area. In this regard, the authorities deployed 36 helicopters to assist from the air in the work of containing the flames, as well as to provide the necessary medical assistance. Meanwhile, in Japan, forest fires have also affected 2 areas in the western part of the country, damaging several houses and forcing thousands of residents to evacuate. In the city of Iwahari, in the Ehime prefecture alone, large trees were ablaze on a hillside while a helicopter was seen dropping water on the fire. Meanwhile, in the western city of Okayama, the fire broke out on Sunday afternoon and has since damaged 5 houses. Authorities advised the evacuation of several hundred residents of the affected district. Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thanks for watching.